So we're just going to take a few minutes and go over our elapsed time strategies that we used earlier in the year. So you've already learned them, and I heard from Miss Vic, who is videoing for us. So hello, Miss Vic. That her class did not use the Zoom strategy, so you guys will have to look extra close and pay extra close attention during that strategy to see how we do that one. But we have the 4 strategies that my class worked on and 3 that she did. So we have the T-chart where we list the time in one column and then the hours and minutes that we're adding or subtracting in the other. And I'm going to show you an example of each of these in a second, so I'm just going to quickly hit them here. And then Zoom, we have a start time, we have an end time, and in the center is where we create the elapsed time, the time that is passing. And then we can use a number line, which a lot of you guys in my class like to use to make those jumps, because you can jump by hours or minutes, or like 20 minutes or 15 minutes, however you want to group the minutes that you're jumping. And then the mountains, hills, and rocks is very similar to the number line, but you just have a certain picture that you create for each type of jump. So if you're jumping 1 hour, you draw a mountain. And notice that I didn't label inside those, because we know from our key down here that that means 1 hour automatically. And then a hill, you group by minutes. It can be 5 minutes all the way up to 30-minute chunks of time. So in this example, I did 20 minutes. And then a little rock is just a little tiny jump of 1 minute each time. And then I wrote like that was 4 hours altogether, and my 20-minute hill with my 3 little rocks gave me 23 minutes. All right, so we're going to jump over. So there are 3 types of problems with elapsed time. I'm going to scoot that so it's not quite my way. There's a type where you're given the start time and elapsed time and you need to find the end time. There is a type where you are given the start time and the end time and you have to find the elapsed time in the middle. And then there's a kind where you're given the end time and the elapsed time, and you kind of have to go backwards to find that start time. So I'm going to show you an example of each one with these strategies. All right, so we're going to start with the T-chart strategy. So to do my T-chart strategy, I'll start with a T-chart. Makes sense, right? One side over here gives me my time, and then the other side shows me the hours or minutes that I'm adding or subtracting as I go. So in this particular problem, I know my start time is 8:47 a.m. So I can add 8:47 a.m. in my time column, and then I know the elapsed time, the amount of time that is passing, is what is going to be over here when I don't know why I wrote it like that. I wrote something crazy. That should say 3 hours and 25 minutes. I don't know what I was doing there. So all together, after I make all these, add all those times, all together this column is going to add up to be 3 hours, 25 minutes. Look, I did this on all the elapsed times. Miss Vic, do you see this? I got crazy. Sorry,
it's okay. We make mistakes sometimes. Everybody makes
we'll
mistakes.
Fix it. I'm going to go ahead and fix this one so I don't forget and confuse myself again. Okay. So I've got to jump 3 hours and 25 minutes. I can jump however I want to. I can count on from 8:47 and go ahead and jump my 3 hours. I can jump 1 hour at a time, and that's what I'm actually going to do this time. I'm going to go from 8:47, jump 1 hour, which gives me my new time, 9:47 a.m. And then I'm going to jump 1 more hour to give myself 10:47 a.m. And then 1 more hour to get myself to 11:47 a.m. And it's important to note that a.m. and p.m. because when we get to noon it switches, when we get to midnight it switches, and we want to make sure we have the right a.m. p.m. on there, because 12 hours is a big difference and we don't want to have those confused. And then I have to add 25 minutes. I've done my 3 hours, I need the 25 minutes. But I'm looking at 11:47 and I don't just know what 25 minutes from then would be. I don't know about you guys, but I just don't know that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself to the next hour, because I know from 11:47, if I add 13 minutes, that gets me to 12 o'clock. That's noon, so that's where it switches to p.m. That's why it's important to know. And then what do I have to do to get from 13 all the way up to that full 25 minutes I need? We need to do a little subtraction there to make sure we know we need 12 more minutes. It's pretty easy to add 12 minutes to that time instead of 25 minutes to 11:47. So now I know that the elapsed, not minutes, can't talk and write. If you're in my class, you already know that. I can't do it.
My class knows that too.
Miss Vic can't do it either. We can't talk and write. All right, so if my start time is 8:47 a.m. and my elapsed time is 3 hours and 25 minutes, then I am now at 12:12 p.m. All right? So we're going to jump over to that Zoom strategy now. And this time we're going to start, we're going to do a problem that has the start time and the end time, and we're finding the elapsed time. And I think this is where the Zoom strategy is really helpful. So all you have to do for that is create a big Z, okay? My start time goes at the top of my Z, 7:25 a.m. My end time goes at the end of my Z. I think that makes sense pretty much. And then what happens is I want to make jumps. However I want to do it, and usually what I do is this is some number of minutes that I'm jumping. This is some number of hours that I'm jumping, and then this is some number of minutes again. And let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm thinking to get from 7:25 a.m. to the next hour, to get to 8 o'clock, how many minutes is it going to take me? Well, I know to get from 7:25 to 7:30, that's 5 minutes, and to get from 7:30 to 8, that's 30 minutes. So if I jump 35 minutes, then I am now at 8 a.m., okay? So I add my other time at my point. That's what happens each point we hit, we get a time on our Z. All right? And now I'm trying to get from 8 a.m. to 2:15. So how many hours could I jump to get there? I'm at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m. So I'm going to jump 6 hours in there. Miss Vic, if I'm messing up my math, you stop me and tell me. So if I jump from 8 a.m., 6 hours, I am now at 2 o'clock p.m. So what do I need to do to get from 2 p.m. to 2:15 p.m.? I think that's an easy one. I just need to jump 15 minutes. And now what you do to finish up the strategy to actually find the elapsed time in there, you make a big circle. And that gives you what you need to know. You need 6 hours. And then you add 35 minutes and 15 minutes. If I add 35 and the 5, that gives me 40. 40 plus 10 is 50 minutes. So my elapsed time is 6 hours and 50 minutes with a Zoom strategy. Okay? We're going to jump over to the number line, and this is the one a lot of you like to use. In my class, I think it's probably the most familiar, and we use number lines for so many other things, and Miss Vic is nodding, so I think you guys liked it too. So this time I have my end time though, and my elapsed time. So when I have my end time, you can start over here, but to me, it makes more sense to start at the end. So I remember that I need to go backwards, because if I put 7:23 over here, I'm going to start counting forward. I'm not going to remember that I have an end time and I need to go backwards to get that start time. So I write my end time, 7:23 p.m. And then my elapsed time needs to be 3 hours, 45 minutes, so I've got to go backwards that amount of time. And I can start with my hours or I can start with my minutes. It doesn't matter how I want to count backwards. Any way I want to do it is fine. I like to start with my hours though. So I'm going to do 1 hour jumps. You can do all three together if you wanted to, but I want to do just 1 hour. So I'm going to say minus 1 hour because I'm subtracting the time. So that would get me back to 6:23. And then I need to jump back another hour to get me to 5:23. And then I'm going to run out of number line because I'm writing too big. Jump back another hour to get to 4:23. Okay? And now I've got to jump my 45 minutes, and I'm going to split that up because I don't know 4:23 minus 45 minutes. So I'm going to jump back my 23 minutes. No, that's not where I want to write that. 23 minutes. And that's going to get me to 4 o'clock. But now the question is, how much more do I need to go backwards? So I'm going to take my 45 minutes and subtract the 23 that I've already jumped to see how much I have left. So I got 5 minus 3 is 2, 4 minus 2 is 2. So I need to jump back 22 more minutes. So I'm going to actually jump back 20 minutes. Because I know if I do 4 o'clock minus 20 minutes, that gets me to 3:40. And then I can do a little tiny 2-minute jump. And that's going to get me to 3:38 p.m. Okay? That's my start time, 3:38. And I could check myself and go from 3:38 up 3 hours, 45 minutes, and that would actually get me back to 7:23. Okay? And now the last strategy, the mountains, hills, and rocks. So again, I did one like I did the first one. I did a start time, and we know the elapsed time. We know what we need to, how far we need to go. So we just need to find that end time. So I start out with a number line, just like I did before. I've got 6:17 a.m. and I need to jump 3 hours and 48 minutes. So if you think back to the key and you have this chart at home that you can look at, a mountain is an hour, a hill can be 5 to 30 minutes, and a rock is 1 minute each time. Okay? So I need to jump 3 hours. So I'm jumping 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Did my 3 mountains there, and I can count as I go from 6:17, 1 hour would be 7:17. Another hour would be 8:17, and another hour would be 9:17. And then I've got to go to 48 minutes. Remember that those hills are 5 to 30 minutes. It's not just any amount. You have to choose, but only between 5 and 30. So what I'm going to actually do first is I'm going to get myself up 3 minutes, because if I count up 3 minutes, I'm now at 9:20, and it's a lot easier to go from 9:20 than 9:17. Okay, so I had to go 48 minutes, and I just jumped 3 of those, so now I'm down to 45 minutes, which is a much easier jump. So I can go from 120. I'm going to do a big hill of 30 minutes, because 9:20 up 30 minutes would get me to 9:50. All right, and a lot of us are able to count by those 15s. We know it's 15, 30, 45. So I've gone 30 minutes. I just need to go 15 more. So I can do a hill jump if I can count that, or like one hill jump, or I can split it. I'm going to split it to show you, because I know if I do a hill jump of 10 minutes, that gets me to 10 o'clock. And then I can do another hill jump of 5 minutes, and that's going to get me to 10:05 a.m. So that is our end time. We started at 6:17, we went 3 hours, 48 minutes, and got to 10:05. Okay? So I hope it was helpful to see all of these strategies again. Just let us know if you have any questions about elapsed time. Bye!